if it's
All right, here we go. Do you
yeah,
believe do you believe in time?
yeah,
Okay, so you believe in like you can measure time, like it's a measurable situation, right? You do like do you think you believe in time like in math, or do you believe in time in reality? And let me explain, let me explain.
both.
The It's impossible. It is literally impossible to travel through time. Yes or no?
We
Travel
are traveling
through
through
time.
time. We're just
It,
traveling
to,
forward. We're constantly
yeah,
traveling
I
through
mean,
time, aren't we?
yeah, I mean, I'm
Like
traveling through time right now. You can't go backwards in time. Um,
well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like we're not traveling through time. We're just particles in space. We're us moving.
yes,
We assume that we're traveling through time, but we're not traveling. We're just moving in space. So,
yes,
like
but
for
so
instance,
we could say that time, like the only way you can move, maybe you're not moving through time. Maybe we can think about it as time is something that happens, right? Because without time, nothing can happen. So if anything is going to change, that is time dependent. I mean, it just absolutely is. You can't explain
that
anything that way without without appealing to time, right?
definitely within the definition of time, but the essence of time, like actually traveling from one second to the next, is not necessarily like okay. Let me give you an example. So let's
Okay.
say that everything in space, the entire universe stood still, did not move. Would we still be going through time?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. So essentially, movement is what you perceive as time,
Yeah.
right? So if nothing moved, time would not exist.
Time wouldn't exist. Temperature wouldn't exist. The fundamental forces of the universe wouldn't exist. I mean, nothing would exist, not just time.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Matter. I
like,
mean,
honestly,
matter would exist, I guess. But
yes, it would.
if nothing moves, then there's no energy. There's no temperature. There's nothing except for matter in a static
Yes,
universe, not doing anything.
that's exactly. You just answered my question. I was gonna ask you, does matter still exist without time?
Well, as far as I know, a universe uh, that has matter can't exist without time, as far as I know, because I only live in one universe, and it happens to have both. So, can a universe
You
have?
assume it has both. You assume it has both. In other words, like whenever people say, "Oh, if you look at the stars, you're looking at 13 billion years ago," it has nothing to do with the stars that are actually there that you're looking at are probably not there. They probably are. They're probably different. It's not the star's fault that they sit the light, 13 million years ago. So that's just essentially that's just movement. It's just movement. It's not passing through time. We are not going through time. We're just moving in space.
Then
There
okay,
is no time.
tell me what you think time is.
I think time is like us, like I think what y'all think time is that like we go from
I
one
asked I
second.
asked you what you think. I know what I think.
So I don't think time exists. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Is like time does not exist. We're just objects moving in space. So like you think that one day, the next day, the month, the years it's just it's an illusion because the Earth turns, the Earth revolves, the Earth rotates. You assume a year passes, but really it's just the Earth moving around the sun. It has nothing to do with
But that's what
traveling through
but
traveling through
that's
time.
but that's what time but that's what time is. Like we agreed that if the universe had no time, then nothing would move, nothing would change. But things do move and change. And so that can only happen in a universe where there is time. I
Okay,
mean,
right. Okay.
like earlier I said time is just something that happens, right? So nothing can happen. Nothing can undergo any kind of change of any kind
Right.
unless there is time. So how do you define what time is without appealing to time? Well, that's pretty hard, but you can say something perhaps like uh, time is the things that happen in the order they happen. That's kind of that kind of sounds like you're using time. Maybe it's impossible to do. But I mean, I'm just like I'm so not with you that time doesn't exist.
I know. I totally agree with you. I totally understand that. What I'm saying is, does the Earth revolving around the sun mean that time exists?
Sure. It's not the
It,
I could point to other things, but I mean
it doesn't mean that
the
time
fact
exists.
that anything happens tells us that time exists. Time isn't like it's not a material. Um, but like we decided what time is. And the idea that we could then decide that time doesn't exist, I don't even know what that could possibly mean. Because I don't know, like, how do you explain anything absent of a concept of time? I don't know how that's possible.
No, no, definitely. Like, time is essentially a measurement of how long it takes from one thing to move from uh, from one spot to the other. That has
Yes, except,
that person did not travel through time. That thing did not travel through time. It essentially just moved through space.
okay.
So there was
Here's
no
here's
time
what.
occurring. There was no
Sorry.
time occurring. There was just a measurement. There was a measurement
Right.
there. There's a measurement how long it took it from it to move from one spot to the other. And there is measurement. Like time is a measurement. I do agree that time is a measurement, but it does not necessarily occur like the way that we think that it occurs.
Okay.
There is no going
Here's
back into the future. There's no going into the past. There is always us. There's always
okay.
this.
Here's probably why I'm really not with you. Because the concept of time is relevant, right? So if there was no time, if there was no time, which means it can be I think I said relevant. I meant relative. If time's this thing, then it can be relative to the observer. Where if it's not a thing, then we should expect some like universal homogeneity to everything, right? But that's not the case because to somebody moving very close to the speed of light, the universe around them appears to be moving in fast motion or like seems to be sped. Like if you orbited Earth for a few days going 99% the speed of light, when you came back down to Earth, those people, like if you'd had a twin brother, he'd be dead probably years ago. When you would get there, people would say, "Yeah, he died years ago, many years ago," but you would not have aged, right? So, uh, to me, the relative aspect of this proves that there really is something at uh, called time that
Right.
observers each experience and go through, and it
Yeah.
has to be real because if not, then it would just be then there should be so much more uniformity. Like relativity shouldn't be able to happen if time isn't like a real thing that can
Right. So
be not exactly manipulated, but experienced
right.
or whatever.
The experiment that Einstein did where he watches a person on a train uh crossing him and they bounce a ball, right? And
I've heard this. I forget the specifics, but
yeah, so they bounce the ball. So if the person is stationary, the ball goes down and it comes right back up, right? But if it's on the train, the ball goes at a V angle because it's going down, but it's moving in a certain direction and then it comes back up. So it travels farther, essentially, right? Would you agree with that?
um,
If
I'll
he's
be
on, if you're
honest. I
watching
don't
some,
I don't remember how this works. I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it
well,
visualized. I know
it's
what you're
very,
talking about because I've seen this explained before, but I'm not smart enough even if I'm looking at it visually, and I'm definitely not smart enough to imagine it in my head from
That
nothingness. So,
it's definitely a thought experiment, but
mhm.
I'm gonna tell you right now, like it's time does not exist. It's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's not matter's fault. It's not matter's fault that it cannot travel at the speed of light. It's not matter's fault. So that's why it will never there will never be this theory that if you could travel at the speed of light, you could go back or you could go forward or whatever. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. Time does not exist. We are all just little moving particles in space, and everything else is just up to observation.
Yes, but the fact that we can talk about our movement in terms of where we are now versus what my position was earlier, well, we just appealed to time. It's impossible to understand the fact that anything happens without a concept of time.
Well, the illusion of time is that you can remember that you were somewhere else a minute ago. That's the illusion, is that you can remember that you were facing a different way in your chair, that you were thinking a different thought. That is the illusion. It's the illusion of time is essentially in your mind, that you can remember the memory of where you were yesterday, of where you were last week, of growing up. That is an illusion. It's like you've essentially just moved through space. You have not traveled through time. It is impossible to travel through time.
It's called space time, right?
I do, and I do. But it's
Okay.
more when he says space time, it's more of a measurement of movement,
Of
not
space and
essentially,
time
yes, of space and through time, through space.
and time. Because the faster you
Space.
move through space, the slower you move through time to other observers.
Right, right. There is what it says, so like what is the equation for velocity?
Distance over time.
Distance over time, right?
Yeah.
Really, it's distance over space
No,
through
it's
time.
distance. No, it's not distance over space through time
I'm sorry, I'm
because
sorry. Yes,
through
I'm sorry.
space would be distance. It's
Yeah,
distance
distance
over time.
distance is essentially space, is what I meant to say. I'm sorry. I said that wrong. But distance is space, right? Distance is a space through time. How you can click,
Yeah.
you can move your hand, or you can tap your shoulders, or you can do whatever, however long it takes you to move from one spot to another. That is not time.
Yes, it is. Okay, here's my hand. Here's my hand. Now my
Right.
hand is over here. Explain how that
Yes.
happened.
Okay, so it moved through space, right? Now, how long it took you to
When?
move through space is a matter of it did not move through time. It
I'm gonna take both these hands and I'm gonna put them up to here, right? But I'm gonna do it differently. Was there a
right.
difference there?
There was a difference, yeah,
What
and
is the
it's
difference?
measurable, and it's
What is the
measurable.
difference? The
It
distance is identical. What is the difference?
it's the amount of time, right?
They
Right. Like I know you're gonna laugh, and I know you're gonna ridicule, but what I'm saying
I'm
is
not
time.
ridiculing. What?
Time is a measurement. Time is a measurement. It is not
Yeah. So is
an
space.
it's a measurement. Even Einstein said
Yes.
time is an illusion.
So is distance. Like velocity is distance over time. The kinetic
Yeah.
energy that something has is one half times its mass times its velocity squared. But velocity is measured in meters per second, right?
Right.
If we
Right.
want to, if we want, like it's
I know
time exists. It
it's
just
very
does.
difficult to grasp. It's very difficult to grasp. Like you grow older, right? You grow older. Do you grow
What's
older?
difficult to grasp? What I'm saying or what you're saying? I find what you're saying impossible to grasp because I don't
I
think it's
know.
accurate.
I know. I totally agree with you. I totally 100% agree with you. That's why I'm trying to explain to you because I think that you would slightly appreciate it if you eventually did grasp slightly what I'm saying.
How, how is my life going to change if I start denying that time exists?
No, it's not going to change. I don't even want you to believe what I'm saying. I'm just wanting to talk to you.
Well, then why are you telling me this?
Just listen. Are you going to get older?
I've been listening.
Are you going to get older?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I'm
Does that
getting
mean
older all the time.
does that mean that you're traveling through time?
Yes, of course. It means time happens.
It's an illusion. Just because your cells grow older, just because your cells decay, just because they move through space in a certain situation does not mean that you're traveling through time. Do you think that a billion years is traveling through time? Do you think that space does not adhere to time? It just moves through space. Like everything just moves. Measuring the movement is what you call the illusion of time, but there is no time occurring. There is no time occurring. If time occurred, there would be nothing left. There would be nothing left.
What does that mean? If time occurred, there would be nothing left. What does
Like
that mean?
it's impossible, dude. It is impossible to what we think traveling through time
What
means.
what does that mean?
It's impossible. We cannot travel through time. We can't. We cannot go back to the
That's
past.
that is not what you said. You said if time existed, then everything would disappear or something like that. What did
It
that
would,
mean?
I mean, it would be like going through a wormhole. It would be like going in through the event horizon of a black hole. Like it's impossible to travel through time. We can move through
No, it's
space,
not. I
particles
agree that we
small.
can't I agree we can't move backwards through time.
We can't move backwards. We can just move. We're not moving through time. We're moving in space. We're not going. There is no time, man. There is no time. There's an illusion of time, but there is no time.
I I disagree.
I think you understand what I'm saying a little bit.
No, no, I definitely don't. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if this is a good example or not, but okay, we have this can on this coaster. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now it's over here.
Okay.
Now let's say that the can is exactly where it was before. Is the universe in the same state? The can is back exactly where it was.
Yes.
The
It's
universe,
in.
no, it's not. The universe is not in the exact state. Because
Did you?
while that went back exactly to where it was, other things in this universe changed their positions, which means
Right.
things happened, which means
Yes.
time passed. If there was no
Yes.
time, then putting things back exactly where they were in a previous position, again, it's impossible to speak about this unless we use terms that are time that describe time. Then the universe does not is not in the state that it was at another point in
No. Yeah.
time.
You're right. Right. But did you add anything or take anything away from it? You
To the
didn't add
can,
any. Did you
I'm
add
not talking
any
about the
energy?
can.
Did
I'm
you
not
add
talking
any
about the can.
energy, or did you
I'm
take
not.
any mass? Did you add any mass?
I'm not talking about the can. I'm talking about the universe.
Okay, the universe, the universe as a whole. Can you add anything or take anything away from it? The entire universe.
Don't think so.
There, you can't. Everything in the universe that already exists will exist, and it continues to exist from now until forever. There is no adding. There's no taking away. If you kill something, you don't kill it
This
to
does
where
not
it.
support. This does not support your claim.
Okay, I know that was a dumb that was dumb. But what I'm saying is that you don't add anything or take anything away. Everything that has ever existed will always exist, continues to exist, continues to move through space. It changes, it's manipulated, it's energized, it's converted, but it's there is no change. There is no change.
There absolutely is change.
A movement, yes. There's a movement in space. There's a movement in space. That's it. There is a movement in space. There
Yeah,
is no time occurring.
and things move differently. The only way to describe and account for the different motions, the relative motions of things, is by using time. Like this happened
Yes,
earlier. I
measure.
said, what's the difference between these two
Yep.
objects moving the exact same distance?
Right.
It's the time it takes.
Yes, there time is definitely a measurement, but it's not a thing that happens. It's a measurement. It's a measurement. Time is a measurement.
Okay, I don't want to do this anymore.